Bienvenue chez Examist, votre partenaire de confiance pour réussir vos certifications. Nous proposons des supports d'études complets, en ligne et hors ligne. Et nous sommes là pour vous guider pas à chaque étape. Des guides PDF détaillés aux exercices pratiques bien structurés. Toutes les questions essentielles sont soigneusement couvertes pour vous donner toutes les chances de réussir. Vous aurez toujours les bonnes ressources à portée de main. Téléchargez les PDFs. Faites des tests et connectez-vous à notre équipe d'assistance experte. Avec la pratique interactive en ligne. Entraînez-vous et quand vous voulez. À votre rythme. Nos PDFs prêts pour l'examen sont soigneusement élaborés et régulièrement mis à jour. Des milliers d'apprenants certifiés font confiance à notre qualité et à notre sérieux. Des professionnels qualifiés sont disponibles pour répondre à vos questions. Commencez dès aujourd'hui et donnez à votre préparation l'avantage décisif avec Examist. Visitez Examist. Comme dès maintenant. Examist. Votre parcours vers le succès commence ici.
Question 1. A data engineer in a manufacturing company is designing a data processing platform that receives a large volume of unstructured data. The data engineer must populate a well-structured star schema in Amazon Redshift. What is the most efficient architecture strategy for this purpose? Option A. Transform the unstructured data using Amazon EMR and generate CSV data. Copy the CSV data into the analysis schema within Redshift. Option B. Load the unstructured data into Redshift. And use string parsing functions to extract structured data for inserting into the analysis schema. Option C. When the data is saved to Amazon S3. Use S3 event notifications and AWS Lambda to transform the file contents. Insert the data into the analysis schema on Redshift. Option D. Normalize the data using an AWS Marketplace ETL tool. Persist the results to Amazon S3. And use AWS Lambda to insert the data into Redshift. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. Transform the unstructured data using Amazon EMR and generate CSV data. Copy the CSV data into the analysis schema within Redshift. Question 2. A new algorithm has been written in Python to identify spam emails. The algorithm analyzes the free text contained within a sample set of 1 million emails stored on Amazon S3. The algorithm must be scaled across a production dataset of 5 petabytes, which also resides in Amazon S3 storage. Which AWS service strategy is best for this use case? Option A. Copy the data into Amazon Elasticache to perform text analysis on the in-memory data and export the results of the model into Amazon Machine Learning. Option B. Use Amazon EMR to parallelize the text analysis tasks across the cluster using a streaming program. Step. Option C. Use Amazon Elasticsearch service to store the text and then use the Python Elasticsearch client to run analysis against the text. Index. Option D. Initiate a Python job from AWS data pipeline to run directly against the Amazon S3 text files. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option B. Use Amazon EMR to parallelize the text analysis tasks across the cluster using a streaming program. Step. Question 3. A data engineer chooses Amazon DynamoDB as a data store for a regulated application. This application must be submitted to regulators for review. The data engineer needs to provide a control framework that lists the security controls from the process to follow to add new users down to the physical controls of the data center, including items like security guards and cameras. How should this control mapping be achieved using AWS? Option A. Request AWS third-party audit reports and/or the AWS quality addendum and map the AWS responsibilities to the controls that must be provided. Option B. Request data center temporary auditor access to an AWS data center to verify the control mapping. Option C. Request relevant SLAs and security guidelines for Amazon DynamoDB and define these guidelines within the application's architecture to map to the control framework. Option D. Request Amazon DynamoDB system architecture designs to determine how to map the AWS responsibilities to the control that must be provided. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. Request AWS third-party audit reports and/or the AWS quality addendum and map the AWS responsibilities to the controls that must be provided. Question 4. An administrator needs to design a distribution strategy for a star schema in a Redshift cluster. The administrator needs to determine the optimal distribution style for the tables in the Redshift schema. In which three circumstances would choosing key-based distribution be most appropriate? Select 3. Option A. When the administrator needs to optimize a large, slowly changing dimension table. Option B. When the administrator needs to reduce cross-node traffic. Option C. When the administrator needs to optimize the fact table for parity with the number of slices. Option D. When the administrator needs to balance data distribution and collocation data. Option E. When the administrator needs to take advantage of data locality on a local node for joins in aggregates. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option B. When the administrator needs to reduce cross-node traffic. Option D. When the administrator needs to balance data distribution and collocation data. Option E. When the administrator needs to take advantage of data locality on a local node for joins in aggregates. Question 5. Company A operates in country X. Company A maintains a large dataset of historical purchase orders that contains personal data of their customers in the form of full names and telephone numbers. The dataset consists of 5 text files, 1 terabyte each. Currently the dataset resides on premises due to legal requirements of storing personal data in country. The Research and Development Department needs to run a clustering algorithm on the dataset and wants to use Elastic MapReduce service in the closest AWS region. Due to geographic distance, the minimum latency between the on-premises system and the closest AWS region is 200 milliseconds. Which option allows Company A to do clustering in the AWS cloud and meet the legal requirement of maintaining personal data in country? Option A. Anonymize the personal data portions of the dataset and transfer the data files into Amazon S3 in the AWS region. Have the EMR cluster read the dataset using EMRFS. Option B. Establish a direct connect link between the on-premises system and the AWS region to reduce latency. Have the EMR cluster read the data directly from the on-premises storage system over Direct Connect. Option C. Encrypt the data files according to encryption standards of country X and store them on AWS region in Amazon S3. Have the EMR cluster read the dataset using EMRFS. Option D. Use AWS import, export snowball device to securely transfer the data to the AWS region and copy the files onto an EBS volume. Have the EMR cluster read the dataset using EMRFS. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. Anonymize the personal data portions of the dataset and transfer the data files into Amazon S3 in the AWS region. Have the EMR cluster read the dataset using EMRFS. Question 6. An administrator needs to design a strategy for the schema in a Redshift cluster. The administrator needs to determine the optimal distribution style for the tables in the Redshift schema. In which two circumstances would choosing even distribution be most appropriate? Choose 2. Option A. When the tables are highly denormalized and do not participate in frequent joins. Option B. When data must be grouped based on a specific key on a defined slice. Option C. When data transfer between nodes must be eliminated. Option D. When a new table has been loaded and it is unclear how it will be joined to dimension. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. When the tables are highly denormalized and do not participate in frequent joins. Option D. When a new table has been loaded and it is unclear how it will be joined to dimension. Question 7. A large grocery distributor receives daily depletion reports from the field in the form of gzip archives, or CSV files uploaded to Amazon S3. The files range from 500 megabytes to 5 gigabytes. These files are processed daily by an EMR job. Recently it has been observed that the file sizes vary, and the EMR jobs take too long. The distributor needs to tune and optimize the data processing workflow with this limited information to improve the performance of the EMR job. Which recommendation should an administrator provide? Option A. Reduce the HDFS block size to increase the number of task processes. Option B. Use BZIP2 or Snappy rather than gzip for the archives. Option C. Decompress the gzip archives and store the data as CSV files. Option D. Use Avro rather than gzip for the archives. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option B. Use BZIP2 or Snappy rather than gzip for the archives. Question 8. A web hosting company is building a web analytics tool to capture clickstream data from all of the websites hosted within its platform and to provide near real-time business intelligence. This entire system is built on AWS services. The web hosting company is interested in using Amazon Kinesis to collect this data and perform sliding window analytics. What is the most reliable and fault-tolerant technique to get each website to send data to Amazon Kinesis with every click? Option A. After receiving a request, each web server sends it to Amazon Kinesis using the Amazon Kinesis put record API. Use the session ID as a partition key and set up a loop to retry until a success response is received. Option B. After receiving a request, each web server sends it to Amazon Kinesis using the Amazon Kinesis producer library. Add records method. Option C. Each web server buffers the requests until the count reaches 500 and sends them to Amazon Kinesis using the Amazon Kinesis put record API. Option D. After receiving a request, each web server sends it to Amazon Kinesis using the Amazon Kinesis put record API. Use the exponential back-off algorithm for retries until a successful response is received. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option Undefined. Option B. After receiving a request, each web server sends it to Amazon Kinesis using the Amazon Kinesis producer library. Add records method. Question 9. A customer has an Amazon S3 bucket. Objects are uploaded simultaneously by a cluster of servers from multiple streams of data. The customer maintains a catalog of objects uploaded in Amazon S3 using an Amazon DynamoDB table. This catalog has the following file: stream name, timestamp, and server name, from which object name can be obtained. The customer needs to define the catalog to support querying for a given stream or server within a defined time range. Which DynamoDB table scheme is most efficient to support these queries? Option A. Define a primary key with server name as partition key and timestamp as sort key. Do not define a local secondary index or global secondary index. Option B. Define a primary key with stream name as partition key and timestamp followed by server name as sort key. Define a global secondary index with server name as partition key and timestamp followed by stream name. Option C. Define a primary key with server name as partition key. Define a local secondary index with stream name as partition key. Define a global secondary index with timestamp as partition key. Option D. Define a primary key with server name as partition key. Define a local secondary index with timestamp as partition key. Define a global secondary index with stream name as partition key and timestamp as sort key. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Define a primary key with stream name as partition key and timestamp followed by server name as sort key. Define a global secondary index with server name as partition key and timestamp followed by stream name. Question 10. A company has several teams of analysts. Each team of analysts has their own cluster. The teams need to run SQL queries using Hive, Spark SQL, and Presto with Amazon EMR. The company needs to enable a centralized metadata layer to expose the Amazon S3 objects as tables to the analysts. Which approach meets the requirement for a centralized metadata layer? Option A. EMRFS consistent view with a common Amazon DynamoDB table. Option B. Bootstrap action to change the Hive metastore to an Amazon RDS database. Option C. S3 dist CP with the output manifest option to generate RDS DDL. Option D. Naming scheme support with automatic partition discovery from Amazon S3. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. EMRFS consistent view with a common Amazon DynamoDB table. Question 11. An administrator needs to manage a large catalog of items from various external sellers. The administrator needs to determine if the items should be identified as minimally dangerous, or highly dangerous based on their textual descriptions. The administrator already has some items with the danger attribute, but receives hundreds of new item descriptions every day without such classification. The administrator has a system that captures dangerous goods reports from customer support team from user feedback. What is a cost-effective architecture to solve this issue? Option A. Build a set of regular expression rules that are based on the existing examples, and run them on the DynamoDB streams as every new item description is added to the system. Option B. Build a Kinesis streams process that captures and marks the relevant items in the dangerous goods reports using a Lambda function once more than 2 reports have been filed. Option C. Build a machine learning model to properly classify dangerous goods and run it on the DynamoDB streams as every new item description is added to the system. Option D. Build a machine learning model with binary classification for dangerous goods and run it on the DynamoDB streams as every new item description is added to the system. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C. Build a machine learning model to properly classify dangerous goods and run it on the DynamoDB streams as every new item description is added to the system. Question 12. A company receives data sets coming from external providers on Amazon S3. Data sets from different providers are dependent on one another. Data sets will arrive at different times and in no particular order. A data architect needs to design a solution that enables the company to do the following. Requirements. Option A. Maintain data dependency information in Amazon RDS for MySQL. Use an AWS data pipeline job to load an Amazon EMR Hive table based on task dependencies and event notification triggers in Amazon S3. Option B. Maintain data dependency information in an Amazon DynamoDB table. Use Amazon SNS and event notifications to publish data to fleet of Amazon EC2 workers. Once the task dependencies have been resolved, process the data with Amazon EMR. Option C. Maintain data dependency information in an Amazon Elasticache Redis cluster. Use Amazon S3 event notifications to trigger an AWS Lambda function that maps the S3 object to Redis. Once the task dependencies have been resolved, process the data with Amazon EMR. Option D. Maintain data dependency information in an Amazon DynamoDB table. Use Amazon S3 event notifications to trigger an AWS Lambda function that maps the S3 object to the task associated with it in DynamoDB. Once all task dependencies have been resolved, process the data with Amazon EMR. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option D. Maintain data dependency information in an Amazon DynamoDB table. Use Amazon S3 event notifications to trigger an AWS Lambda function that maps the S3 object to the task associated with it in DynamoDB. Once all task dependencies have been resolved, process the data with Amazon EMR. Question 13. A media advertising company handles a large number of real-time messages sourced from over 200 websites in real time. Processing latency must be kept low. Based on calculations, a 60-shard Amazon Kinesis stream is more than sufficient to handle the maximum data throughput. Even with traffic spikes, the company also uses an Amazon Kinesis client library, KCL, application running on Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, EC2, managed by an auto-scaling group. Amazon CloudWatch indicates an average of 25% CPU and a modest level of network traffic across all running servers. The company reports a 150% to 200% increase in latency of processing messages from Amazon Kinesis during peak times. There are no reports of delay from the sites publishing to Amazon Kinesis. What is the appropriate solution to address the latency? Option A. Increase the number of shards in the Amazon Kinesis stream to 80 for greater concurrency. Option B. Increase the size of the Amazon EC2 instances to increase network throughput. Option C. Increase the minimum number of instances in the auto-scaling group. Option D. Increase Amazon DynamoDB throughput on the checkpoint table. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option D. Increase Amazon DynamoDB throughput on the checkpoint table. Question 14. A Redshift data warehouse has different user teams that need to query the same table with very different query types. These user teams are experiencing poor performance. Which action improves performance for the user teams in this situation? Option A. Create custom table views. Option B. Add interleaved sort keys per team. Option C. Maintain team-specific copies of the table. Option D. Add support for workload management queue hopping. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option D. Add support for workload management queue hopping. Question 15. A company operates an international business served from a single AWS region. The company wants to expand into a new country. The regulator for that country requires the data architect to maintain a log of financial transactions in the country within 24 hours of the product transaction. The production application is latency insensitive. The new country contains another AWS region. What is the most cost-effective way to meet this requirement? Option A. Use CloudFormation to replicate the production application to the new region. Option B. Use Amazon CloudFront to serve application content locally in the country. Amazon CloudFront logs will satisfy the requirement. Option C. Continue to serve customers from the existing region while using Amazon Kinesis to stream transaction data to the regulator. Option D. Use Amazon S3 cross-region replication to copy and persist production transaction logs to a bucket in the new country's region. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option D. Use Amazon S3 cross-region replication to copy and persist production transaction logs to a bucket in the new country's region. Question 16. An administrator needs to design the event log storage architecture for events from mobile devices. The event data will be processed by an Amazon EMR cluster daily for aggregated reporting and analytics before being archived. How should the administrator recommend storing the log data? Option A. Create an Amazon S3 bucket and write log data into folders by device. Execute the EMR job on the device folders. Option B. Create an Amazon DynamoDB table partitioned on the device and sorted on date. Write log data to table. Execute the EMR job on the Amazon DynamoDB table. Option C. Create an Amazon S3 bucket and write data into folders by day. Execute the EMR job on the daily folder. Option D. Create an Amazon DynamoDB table partitioned on event ID. Write log data to table. Execute the EMR job on the table. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option C. Create an Amazon S3 bucket and write data into folders by day. Execute the EMR job on the daily folder. Question 17. A data engineer wants to use an Amazon Elastic MapReduce for an application. The data engineer needs to make sure it complies with regulatory requirements. The auditor must be able to confirm at any point which servers are running and which network access controls are deployed. Which action should the data engineer take to meet this requirement? Option A. Provide the auditor in accounts with the security audit policy attached to their group. Option B. Provide the auditor with SSH keys for access to the Amazon EMR cluster. Option C. Provide the auditor with CloudFormation templates. Option D. Provide the auditor with access to AWS Direct Connect to use their existing tools. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. Provide the auditor in accounts with the security audit policy attached to their group. Question 18. A social media customer has data from different data sources including RDS running MySQL, Redshift, and Hive on EMR. To support better analysis, the customer needs to be able to analyze data from different data sources and to combine the results. What is the most cost-effective solution to meet these requirements? Option A. Load all data from a different database, warehouse to S3. Use Redshift copy command to copy data to Redshift for analysis. Option B. Install Presto on the EMR cluster where Hive sits. Configure MySQL and PostgreSQL connector to select from different data sources in a single query. Option C. Spin up an Elasticsearch cluster. Load data from all three data sources and use Kibana to analyze. Option D. Write a program running on a separate EC2 instance to run queries to three different systems. Aggregate the results after getting the responses from all three systems. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option B. Install Presto on the EMR cluster where Hive sits. Configure MySQL and PostgreSQL connector to select from different data sources in a single query. Question 19. An Amazon EMR cluster using EMRFS has access to petabytes of data on Amazon S3, originating from multiple unique data sources. The customer needs to query common fields across some of the data sets to be able to perform interactive joins and then display results quickly. Which technology is most appropriate to enable this capability? Option A. Presto. Option B. MicroStrategy. Option C. Pig. Option D. RStudio. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. Presto. Question 20. A game company needs to properly scale its game application, which is backed by DynamoDB. Amazon Redshift has the past 2 years of historical data. Game traffic varies throughout the year based on various factors such as season, movie release, and holiday season. An administrator needs to calculate how much read and write throughput should be provisioned for DynamoDB table for each week in advance. How should the administrator accomplish this task? Option A. Feed the data into Amazon machine learning and build a regression model. Option B. Feed the data into SparkMolib and build a random forest model. Option C. Feed the data into Apache Mahout and build a multi-classification model. Option D. Feed the data into Amazon machine learning and build a binary classification model. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. Feed the data into Amazon machine learning and build a regression model. Question 21. A data engineer is about to perform a major upgrade to the DDL contained within an Amazon Redshift cluster to support a new data warehouse application. The upgrade scripts will include user permission updates, view and table structure changes as well as additional loading and data manipulation tasks. The data engineer must be able to restore the database to its existing state in the event of issues. Which action should be taken prior to performing this upgrade task? Option A. Run an unload command for all data in the warehouse and save it to S3. Option B. Create a manual snapshot of the Amazon Redshift cluster. Option C. Make a copy of the automated snapshot on the Amazon Redshift cluster. Option D. Call the wait for snapshot available command from either the AWS CLI or an AWS SDK. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option B. Create a manual snapshot of the Amazon Redshift cluster. Question 22. A large oil and gas company needs to provide near real-time alerts when peak thresholds are exceeded in its pipeline system. The company has developed a system to capture pipeline metrics such as flow rate, pressure, and temperature using millions of sensors. The sensors deliver to AWS IoT, which is a cost-effective way to provide near real-time alerts on the pipeline metrics. Option A. Create an AWS IoT rule to generate an Amazon SNS notification. Option B. Store the data points in an Amazon DynamoDB table and poll if for peak metrics data from an Amazon EC2 application. Option C. Create an Amazon machine learning model and invoke it with AWS Lambda. Option D. Use Amazon Kinesis streams and a KCL-based application deployed on AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. Create an AWS IoT rule to generate an Amazon SNS notification. Question 23. A company is using Amazon machine learning as part of a medical software application. The application will predict the most likely blood type for a patient based on a variety of other clinical tests that are available when blood type knowledge is unavailable. What is the appropriate model choice and target attribute combination for this problem? Option A. Multi-class classification model with a categorical target attribute. Option B. Regression model with a numeric target attribute. Option C. Binary classification with a categorical target attribute. Option D. K-nearest neighbors model with a multi-class target attribute. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. Multi-class classification model with a categorical target attribute. Question 24. A data engineer is running a DWH on a 25-node Redshift cluster of a SaaS service. The data engineer needs to build a dashboard that will be used by customers. 5 big customers represent 80% of usage. And there is a long tail of dozens of smaller customers. The data engineer has selected the dashboarding tool. How should the data engineer make sure that the larger customer workloads do not interfere with the smaller customer workloads? Option A. Apply query filters based on customer ID that cannot be changed by the user and apply distribution keys on customer ID. Option B. Place the largest customers into a single user group with a dedicated query queue and place the rest of the customers into a different query queue. Option C. Push aggregations into an RDS for Aurora instance. Connect the dashboard application to Aurora rather than Redshift for faster queries. Option D. Route the largest customers to a dedicated Redshift cluster. Raise the concurrency of the multi-tenant Redshift cluster to accommodate the remaining customers. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option B. Place the largest customers into a single user group with a dedicated query queue and place the rest of the customers into a different query queue. Question 25. An Amazon Kinesis stream needs to be encrypted. Which approach should be used to accomplish this task? Option A. Perform a client-side encryption of the data before it enters the Amazon Kinesis stream on a producer. Option B. Use a partition key to segment the data by MD5 hash function, which makes it undecipherable while in transit. Option C. Perform a client-side encryption of the data before it enters the Amazon Kinesis stream on a consumer. Option D. Use a shard to segment the data, which has built-in functionality to make it indecipherable while in transit. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. Perform a client-side encryption of the data before it enters the Amazon Kinesis stream on a producer. Question 26. An online photo album app has a key design feature to support multiple screens, e.g., desktop, mobile phone, and tablet, with high-quality displays. Multiple versions of the image must be saved in different resolutions and layouts. The image processing Java program takes an average of 5 seconds per upload. Depending on the image size and format, Each image upload captures the following image metadata: user, album, photo label, upload timestamp. The app should support the following requirements. Requirements. Option A. Write images and metadata to Amazon Kinesis. Use a Kinesis client library. KCL. Application to run the image processing and save the image output to Amazon S3 and metadata to the app repository. DB. Option B. Write image and metadata RDS with blob data type. Use AWS data pipeline to run the image processing and save the image output to Amazon S3 and metadata to the app repository. DB. Option C. Upload image with metadata to Amazon S3. Use Lambda function to run the image processing and save the image's output to Amazon S3 and metadata to the app repository. DB. Option D. Write image and metadata to Amazon Kinesis. Use Amazon Elastic MapReduce (EMR) with Spark Streaming to run image processing and save the image's output to Amazon S3 and metadata to app repository. DB. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C. Upload image with metadata to Amazon S3. Use Lambda function to run the image processing and save the image's output to Amazon S3 and metadata to the app repository. DB. Question 27. A customer needs to determine the optimal distribution strategy for the orders fact table in its Redshift schema. The orders table has foreign key relationships with multiple dimension tables in this schema. How should the company determine the most appropriate distribution key for the orders table? Option A. Identify the largest and most frequently joined dimension table and ensure that it and the orders table both have even distribution. Option B. Identify the largest dimension table and designate the key of this dimension table as the distribution key of the orders table. Option C. Identify the smallest dimension table and designate the key of this dimension table as the distribution key of the orders table. Option D. Identify the largest and the most frequently joined dimension table and designate the key of this dimension table as the distribution key of the orders table. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Identify the largest and the most frequently joined dimension table and designate the key of this dimension table as the distribution key of the orders table. Question 28. A customer is collecting clickstream data using Amazon Kinesis and is grouping the events by IP address into 5-minute chunks stored in Amazon S3. Many analysts in the company use Hive on Amazon EMR to analyze this data. Their queries always reference a single IP address. Data must be optimized for querying based on IP address using Hive running on Amazon EMR. What is the most efficient method to query the data with Hive? Option A. Store an index of the files by IP address in the Amazon DynamoDB metadata store for EMRFS. Option B. Store the Amazon S3 objects with the following naming scheme. Bucket name, source equals IP address per year equals YY per month equals MM per day equals DD per hour equals HH, file name. Option C. Store the data in an HBase table with the IP address as the row key. Option D. Store the events for an IP address as a single file in Amazon S3 and add metadata with keys. Hive partitioned IP address. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Store the Amazon S3 objects with the following naming scheme. Bucket name, source equals IP address per year equals YY per month equals MM per day equals DD per hour equals HH, file name. Question 29. An online retailer is using Amazon DynamoDB to store data related to customer transactions. The items in the table contains several string attributes describing the transaction as well as a JSON attribute containing the shopping cart and other details corresponding to the transaction. Average item size is 250 kilobytes, most of which is associated with the JSON attribute. The average customer generates 3 gigabytes of data per month. Customers access the table to display their transaction history and review transaction details as needed. 90% of the queries against the table are executed when building the transaction history view, with the other 10% retrieving transaction details. The table is partitioned on customer ID and sorted on transaction date. The client has very high read capacity provisioned for the table and experiences very even utilization, but complains about the cost of Amazon DynamoDB compared to other NoSQL solutions. Which strategy will reduce the cost associated with the client's read queries while not degrading quality? Option A. Modify all database calls to use eventually consistent reads and advise customers that transaction history may be 1 second out of date. Option B. Change the primary table to partition on transaction ID. Create a GSI partitioned on customer and sorted on date. Project small attributes into GSI. And then query GSI for summary data and the primary table for JSON details. Option C. Vertically partition the table. Store base attributes on the primary table. And create a foreign key reference to a secondary table containing the JSON data. Query the primary table for summary data and the secondary table for JSON details. Option D. Create an LSI sorted on date. Project the JSON attribute into the index. And then query the primary table for summary data and the LSI for JSON details. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. Modify all database calls to use eventually consistent reads and advise customers that transaction history may be 1 second out of date. Question 30. A company that manufactures and sells smart air conditioning units also offers add-on services so that customers can see real-time dashboards in a mobile application or a web browser. Each unit sends its sensor information in JSON format every 2 seconds for processing and analysis. The company also needs to consume this data to predict possible equipment problems before they occur. A few thousand pre-purchased units will be delivered in the next couple of months. The company expects high market growth in the next year and needs to handle a massive amount of data and scale without interruption. Which ingestion solution should the company use? Option A. Write sensor data records to Amazon Kinesis streams. Process the data using KCL applications for the end consumer dashboard and anomaly detection. Workflows. Option B. Batch sensor data to Amazon Simple Storage Service. S3. Every 15 minutes. Flow the data downstream to the end consumer dashboard and to the anomaly detection application. Option C. Write sensor data records to Amazon Kinesis Firehose with Amazon Simple Storage Service. S3. As the destination. Consume the data with a KCL application for the end consumer dashboard and anomaly detection. Option D. Write sensor data records to Amazon Relational Database Service. RDS. Build both the end consumer dashboard and anomaly detection application on top of Amazon RDS. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. Write sensor data records to Amazon Kinesis streams. Process the data using KCL applications for the end consumer dashboard and anomaly detection. Workflows. Question 31. An organization needs a data store to handle the following data types and access patterns. Faceting search flexible schema, JSON, and fixed schema noise word elimination. Which data store should the organization choose? Option A. Amazon Relational Database Service, RDS. Option B. Amazon Redshift. Option C. Amazon DynamoDB. Option D. Amazon Elasticsearch Service. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C, Amazon DynamoDB. Question 32. A travel website needs to present a graphical quantitative summary of its daily bookings to website visitors for marketing purposes. The website has millions of visitors per day, but wants to control costs by implementing the least expensive solution for this visualization. Which is the most cost-effective solution? Option A. Generate a static graph with a transient EMR cluster daily and store it in Amazon S3. Option B. Generate a graph using MicroStrategy backed by a transient EMR cluster. Option C. Implement a Jupyter frontend provided by a continuously running EMR cluster leveraging Spot instances for task nodes. Option D. Implement a Zeppelin application that runs on a long-running EMR cluster. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Generate a static graph with a transient EMR cluster daily and store it in Amazon S3. Question 33. A system engineer for a company proposes digitalization and backup of large archives for customers. The systems engineer needs to provide users with a secure storage that makes sure that data will never be tampered with once it has been uploaded. How should this be accomplished? Option A. Create an Amazon Glacier vault. Specify a deny vault lock policy on this vault to block Glacier. Delete archive. Option B. Create an Amazon S3 bucket. Specify a deny bucket policy on this bucket to block S3. Delete object. Option C. Create an Amazon Glacier vault. Specify a deny vault access policy on this vault to block Glacier. Delete archive. Option D. Create secondary AWS account containing an Amazon S3 bucket. Grant S3 put object to the primary account. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Create an Amazon Glacier vault. Specify a deny vault lock policy on this vault to block Glacier. Delete archive. Question 34. An organization needs to design and deploy a large-scale data storage solution that will be highly durable and highly flexible with respect to the type and structure of data being stored. The data to be stored will be sent or generated from a variety of sources and must be persistently available for access and processing by multiple applications. Which is the most cost-effective technique to meet these requirements? Option A. Use Amazon Simple Storage Service S3 as the actual data storage system, coupled with appropriate tools for ingestion, acquisition of data and for subsequent processing and querying. Option B. Deploy a long-running Amazon Elastic MapReduce EMR cluster with Amazon Elastic Block Store EBS volumes for persistent HDFS storage and appropriate Hadoop ecosystem tools for processing and querying. Option C. Use Amazon Redshift with data replication to Amazon Simple Storage Service S3 for comprehensive durable data storage, processing, and querying. Option D. Launch an Amazon Relational Database Service RDS and use the enterprise grade and capacity of the Amazon Aurora engine for storage, processing, and querying. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Use Amazon Simple Storage Service S3 as the actual data storage system, coupled with appropriate tools for ingestion, acquisition of data and for subsequent processing and querying. Question 35. A customer has a machine learning workflow that consists of multiple quick cycles of reads, writes, reads on Amazon S3. The customer needs to run the workflow on EMR but is concerned that the reads in subsequent cycles will miss new data critical to the machine learning from the prior cycles. How should the customer accomplish this? Option A. Turn on EMRFS consistent view when configuring the EMR cluster. Option B. Use AWS data pipeline to orchestrate the data processing cycles. Option C. Set Hadoop data consistency equals true in the core site XML file. Option D. Set Hadoop S3 consistency equals true in the core site XML file. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Turn on EMRFS consistent view when configuring the EMR cluster. Question 36. An Amazon Redshift database is encrypted using KMS. A data engineer needs to use the AWS key to create a KMS encrypted snapshot of the database in another AWS region. Which 3 steps should the data engineer take to accomplish this task? Choose 3. Option A. Create a new KMS key in the destination region. Option B. Copy the existing KMS key to the destination region. Option C. Use Create Snapshot Copy Grant to allow Amazon Redshift to use the KMS key from the source region. Option D. In the source region, enable cross-region replication and specify the name of the copy grant created. Option E. In the destination region, enable cross-region replication and specify the name of the copy grant created. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Create a new KMS key in the destination region. Option C. Use Create Snapshot Copy Grant to allow Amazon Redshift to use the KMS key from the source region. Option D. In the source region, enable cross-region replication and specify the name of the copy grant created. Question 37. Managers in a company need access to the human resources database that runs on Amazon Redshift to run reports about their employees. Managers must only see information about their direct reports. Which technique should be used to address this requirement with Amazon Redshift? Option A. Define an in-group for each manager with each employee as an in-user in that group, and use that to limit the access. Option B. Use Amazon Redshift Snapshot to create one cluster per manager. Allow the manager to access only their designated clusters. Option C. Define a key for each manager in AWS KMS and encrypt the data for their employees with their private keys. Option D. Define a view that uses the employee's manager name to filter the records based on current user names. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Define a view that uses the employee's manager name to filter the records based on current user names. Question 38. A company is building a new application in AWS. The architect needs to design a system to collect application log events. The design should be a repeatable pattern that minimizes data loss if an application instance fails, and keeps a durable copy of a log data for at least 30 days. What is the simplest architecture that will allow the architect to analyze the logs? Option A. Write them directly to a Kinesis firehose. Configure Kinesis firehose to load the events into an Amazon Redshift cluster for analysis. Option B. Write them to a file on Amazon Simple Storage Service. S3. Write an AWS Lambda function that runs in response to the S3 event to load the events into Amazon Elasticsearch Service for analysis. Option C. Write them to the local disk and configure the Amazon CloudWatch Logs agent to load the data into CloudWatch Logs and subsequently into Amazon Elasticsearch Service. Option D. Write them to CloudWatch Logs and use an AWS Lambda function to load them into HDFS on an Amazon Elastic MapReduce EMR cluster for analysis. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C. Write them to the local disk and configure the Amazon CloudWatch Logs agent to load the data into CloudWatch Logs and subsequently into Amazon Elasticsearch Service. Question 39. An organization uses a custom MapReduce application to build monthly reports based on many small data files in an Amazon S3 bucket. The data is submitted from various business units on a frequent but unpredictable schedule. As the dataset continues to grow, it becomes increasingly difficult to process all of the data in one day. The organization has scaled up its Amazon EMR cluster, but other optimizations could improve performance. The organization needs to improve performance with minimal changes to existing processes in applications. What action should the organization take? Option A. Use Amazon S3 event notifications and AWS Lambda to create a quick search file index in DynamoDB. Option B. Add Spark to the Amazon EMR cluster and utilize resilient distributed datasets in memory. Option C. Use Amazon S3 event notifications and AWS Lambda to index each file into an Amazon Elasticsearch Service cluster. Option D. Schedule a daily AWS data pipeline process that aggregates content into larger files using S3 dist CP. Option E. Have business units submit data via Amazon Kinesis firehose to aggregate data hourly into Amazon S3. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Schedule a daily AWS data pipeline process that aggregates content into larger files using S3 dist CP. Question 40. An administrator is processing events in near real-time using Kinesis streams and Lambda. Lambda intermittently fails to process batches from one of the shards due to a 5-minute time limit. What is a possible solution for this problem? Option A. Add more Lambda functions to improve concurrent batch processing. Option B. Reduce the batch size that Lambda is reading from the stream. Option C. Ignore and skip events that are older than 5 minutes and put them to dead letter queue. DLQ. Option D. Configure Lambda to read from fewer shards in parallel. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Reduce the batch size that Lambda is reading from the stream.